Yeah, you're doing perfectly. Everything's good.
Yep, looks nice. अभी हमारे पास अभी तत्काल बस एक ही मेंबर ज्वाइंट है. हम लोग 2 मिनट और वेट कर लेते हैं. So that we have substantial count.
All those who have joined, please put a reminder on your class groups that the event has been started. And I'm going to share a link. Please share that. I'll share the link in the chat in a moment.
जो भी आ गए हो भाई अपने अपने रेस्पेक्टिव ग्रुप्स में आराम से एक लिंक दिया जाएगा चैट में, प्लीज शेयर कर दो. ठीक है, बिकॉज बहुत लोग होंगे, हो सकता है उनको रिमाइंडर का जरूरत हो, मिस कर जाएंगे इवेंट को. बिकॉज अच्छे खासे नंबर्स में लोग का रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ है, कोई मिस नहीं कर जाए. ठीक है, अपने अपने ग्रुप्स में शेयर कर दो.
Okay, I can see 20 batch students and like 21.
Everyone, there's a link in the chat. You can just copy that and share that in your WhatsApp groups. Give a little background that this is an info session for the Flutter festival that we are having in the GTSC.
Aman, am I audible?
Yeah, you're already completely audible.
Yeah, okay. Ashmir? Ashmir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you please just post this message and just make a call once again that whosoever has registered for the event, they should attend it right now, or else they will miss something.
Okay, sir.
Just do it, Asaf. Good evening, everyone. Can we do a just quick check? Am I visible? Can you just see me? Is everything okay? Can you hear my voice? Can you verify that? Anyone from
Good by my side.
Yes, sir.
Completely audible and visible, Robert.
Awesome. So I think we have a substantial amount of people who are available now, so we can start the meet. So as you all know, we have gathered here for this aggregation, and this aggregation will be called as info session for Flutter Festival. So what this actually is about. So the whole stuff about how you can participate in this and how you can earn some interesting certificates and some interesting amount of knowledge. The whole session will be taken by our current Flutter facilitator, Aman Raj. He is a student from third year CSE from our college, BC Bakhtiyarpur. He has also served as a mentor for Flutter in GWOC 21 and as a mentor for Flutter at Girl Script Outreach Program as well. And he has a great deal of knowledge in app development and also web development. And he has also worked on many notable projects like social media app and known as Edifi, and also a chat app for flight passengers named FunZone. So for like moving on, I'll pass on to you, Aman, and I hope you can just carry on the meeting right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert, for such a nice intro. Actually, I didn't say it coming like I'd get such a sweet introduction by my college mates. Like most of us, we have not like known each other about the project part. So it's a great introduction. Thank you so much. And I hope all of you juniors are doing good. I guess most of you had examinations, so I guess it's over now. Can you let me know in the chat, like for those who had examination, is it over yet? If you could like post.
Sir, we are from first semester, sir.
Okay, like there are multiple from first and second years too. So I can see the 20 batch and the 21 batch. So I asked the question in general. Okay, so let's not like waste up further more time and let's just get started with the Flutter. So yeah, Akash, nice. I can see two Akash and Aryan. No. Okay, don't worry. Like you have to eventually manage your time with along with these project sessions and everything. So eventually you're gonna have to deal with college as well as like project power, project 2. So let's get started with the Flutter. So the main agenda about today is for the introduction session for Flutter. So actually we don't need something like a Flutter festival to get started with this Flutter. So Google actually provided us with an opportunity, and as we know about DSC, they just try to promote an enthusiasm in the students. So this is like just a push from them to like, okay, this is something to, and you should start doing it. In the process of learning Flutter, you can like get some good hands-on experience and certifications and some swags, who knows? Like there are multiple challenges and everything. So it is just like to get started, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction about this total session and exactly what about Flutter. So some of you might be getting confusing. There's a new word coming into our like mind and what it's totally about. So let's get started, and I'm gonna like move ahead to the next slide in the project, like this PPT. Okay, so basically when it comes about Flutter, so the major proportion of the people that use Flutter or in the industries, they use it for app development. So as you can see, this is like a quick definition that I've put on here. This isn't something that I came up with and I just gave it myself. It's something that Google itself did. So it's a complete suite of development kit that they have made to like develop cross-platform applications. The current release, that is the 2.10, that like lets you generate apps for Android, iOS, macOS, Windows, Linux, and even webs too. So some of you might be thinking, it's really hard to center a div with CSS, kind of like that thing. So you can just find doing well with Flutter, and it's quite really easy, not so scary to center things here. You will see in the upcoming sessions about that. So let's move on to the next session. So as you can see, it's a Dart. Flutter is, when you start coding in Flutter, you usually rely on a programming language that is Dart. So unlike you have like learned C in your first year, or some of you might who are like exploring the tech industry by yourself, you might have come across JavaScript or some other languages. So Dart is kind of similar like C, and you can say JavaScript too. So it isn't something that you'll find totally confusing like assembly languages. So it's not like that. It's really simple, and you can just look at the code and get quite used to it within like a day or two at most, if you know a language early. And if you don't know, even it's like a great language to start. So don't worry about it. Like this language had been in existence since 2013, but since the last release of Flutter, when Flutter came into existence, this language has like a huge demand. Now you can, in the top 5 or 10 languages that are currently being used, Flutter is among them. Dart is among them. And basically, Dart is mostly used for Flutter and building packages that revolves around Flutter. That doesn't mean that you can't Dart used to do your basic data structure stuff. You could do the same, but like this is mostly for Flutter. So you might be thinking, okay, Flutter, we can do like make apps with Flutter for Android and iOS at the same time. So does it have any significant value? Is it something like I did some project with scratch and like no one actually can use it, something like that? So Flutter has been adopted by people in industry, and it had been put to great use. And there are some companies, bigger companies, that use Flutter for their apps. Even if you have used Google Pay, they used Flutter as their whole infrastructure. And some of you, like, have you heard about Ream 11? So they too like use Flutter for their apps. So moving ahead with the next section in the PPT, the future about like the scopes that you can get in Flutter. So you might be thinking why one's gonna learn like Flutter. So we have web development, we have Android development, like native iOS development. So wouldn't that industry be thriving? So why one should just pick Flutter? So industries these days, they started like making their apps on Flutter. It is not just because like it's something unique and they just started it. It actually is pretty reasonable for them because it's really fast, it's easy to learn, and it's like better to maintain a single code base for your both your Android and iOS apps rather than creating two things and like then synchronizing so that the apps look kind of consistent on both the platforms. So industries have started using Flutter a lot. In the last 2 years or something, like there had been a great demand, like increase in the demand of job for Flutter roles. Like people who are knowing Flutter and these stuffs, they are getting frequent offers from companies to work on their projects. So this is as a career-wise, this is also a great start. And the third reason you might want to learn Flutter is that personally I think it's good to have. It's like if you have any app idea or something in your mind that you want to convert into, like you thought of an idea that, okay, I am going to earn, if I had an app like this, I would have earned millions. So you can like convert your own imagination into an app with Flutter. It's really easy to like code in Flutter, code in Dart to like make apps with Flutter. It's really easy. It's not that hard. So we'll see in the upcoming sessions more about this. So about the learning path. So eventually talking every field, like if you want to learn web development, if you want to learn like native Kotlin, Android development, or like iOS development with Swift, this is the one thing that stoods out with the learning path, why one picks up. So for Flutter, it's really easy to learn. That's what I've said, easy learning path. The second thing is community learning. So things become much easier when people are alongside you to help you in the project. So eventually, if you get stuck at a point in a Flutter project, like, okay, I'm getting stuck, what is this error or something? You're gonna just go to like Stack Overflow or some other documentation site. Since a lot of people are using Flutter, it's really likely that 99% of the time when you're gonna find an error, someone else also had that same error, and you will find it easily in the Stack Overflow solutions. So when people are there, more people means like more number of solutions that you can get. So it's pretty easy to like get your problem solved with the people on the internet, and you eventually don't have to pay for it. So that's the best part. And the third thing is the multiple platform support. So as in the first slide that I already told you, like when you do these things with the develop app with Flutter, so you write a code once. Now you can like export your app as an Android app, as an iOS app, and even apps for your Windows devices or Linux devices. At the same time, you can like export that code to raw indexed HTML and like JS. So for like they can run on web too. So instead, you just created one file and it created apps for all the platforms, even website for you. That's the beauty about Flutter. So these were like the just a simple explanation of what actually Flutter is. So I'm gonna just go into a bit of a little bit detail that you're gonna find interesting. So hold on. So what exactly is Flutter? So how it works under the hood? You might be thinking, okay, these are things I knew. I listened. Now what next? So how I'm gonna get a better glimpse of it? What exactly it is? So this is the simple definition, one line definition that Google gave. It's their toolkit to develop beautiful multi-platform applications. I like the word and like see the words, keep and focus on it. Beautiful apps. Why I'm telling you this? You will see in the later sections. When you develop apps with Flutter, there is a great chance that even if you're not so good at designing and stuff, still you're gonna end up making apps that look really pleasing with great animations, and it's that easy. So most of the stuff that you're gonna think of incorporating your app, they gonna come easily pre-built. So it's kind of like most of your apps gonna look really beautiful out of the box. So why you should like use Flutter and not like you should build an Android app for Android and with the Swift for iOS for like iOS devices and things like that. You can do that same thing, but see this illustration. As you can see, there is one illustration where the person wanna go to this castle. Okay, so they can go with this like mumbo jumbo path. You develop an Android app and iOS app, and this castle you can tell it represents your customers or like end users. So you can like reach those people with these paths, or either you can like develop something simple. The end goal of your is to let people use your app. That's it. They don't care about if you had developed in Android, like native Android, native iOS, or with Flutter. They don't care unless you are able to provide them with the ease of access and what services they want. It really don't matter what you use to make those apps. So for like simplicity, these days companies use a single code base of Flutter to like develop apps for these multiple platforms. So as I said you already, Flutter you can like with Flutter you can make apps for iOS, Android, even web, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and embedded systems. So you might be thinking, okay, so this might like require a lot of work to develop for these nearly seven devices. Some of you might be confusing what embedded means. So something like IoT kind of devices, like you develop a device for a certain feature, just for a certain thing, just like you had Kindle for reading books, something like that. So you can tell it by this. So all these 7 platforms, okay, this is just from one single code base. You don't have to write any single extra line of code or maintain another project for the same thing. Like you wrote code once, now you can just export in any of these platforms. So if you're using iOS, you're gonna receive those bundle files. Android, you're gonna receive an APK that you can give to others to like explore. In the web, you're gonna get an HTML file, index.html file with some JavaScript that you can run on your browser. On Windows, you're gonna get the default executable.exe files, and the same goes with these things. For Linux, you eventually can get Debian files or like RPM files, or you can just get the source code and make the platform that you want to use. So let's bit of advanced things that just ignore. The main focus for these things is like you can Android, iOS, and web. Just keep in mind these three things like you can easily do with Flutter. So everything is a widget. So coming about the point, what does actually mean? So some of you might have used like Legos to build something. So let's give real life examples. So if you're building a home and the end thing is that you use a brick. So kind of like when you lay, yeah. Do you have any questions? If someone is having any doubt, just let me know in the chat, or you can turn on your mic. That would be totally fine. No problem. So I'm continuing. I don't see any queries. Okay. So since you like in real life you place bricks one upon another and like make a whole house or something like that. So this is the same case with Flutter. You like take a widget, make another widget, and like you combine these things to make something extraordinary, like the thing that you like to your own purpose. That's what Flutter is all about. So under the hood, like you can like for every widget you can define their animation. Their painting is basically how it's going to be rendered on your screen. Gestures like if you like click it or double tap it or like long press those things or those widgets, so how it's going to react to how your app gonna know. So that's basically what gestures are all about. And engine, you don't need to like go deep dive into this thing. So how Flutter actually converts your code into like code for Android or something. Flutter doesn't work like that. It coded something like that's hardly working on your devices. It's actually convert your code into native Android or native iOS files. That's how it like maintains its stability and performance. So that's it all about it engine. I guess like I should take a moment and like let the questions get coming in. So if you guys are having any doubt, any smallest of doubt you can think of, you can just come and ask right now. Either you turn on your mic or let me know in the chat. Both would be really fine. So till now, if you have any doubts, anything in general in common, just go ahead and like ask. I'm gonna wait for a minute, I guess. I don't see any doubts yet. Just feel free. Don't feel like I'm gonna be judged on my questions. To be honest, when we were in first year, like we used to ask a lot of questions. So should I move ahead? Okay. Okay, I'm moving ahead with the session. Still, I'm saying again, if you have any little bit of doubt, even a bit, just ask it in the chat. No one's going to judge you. That's like my promise to you. Okay, so like Flutter foundation, null pillar. So as you make your anything, like you make a company, you have some ideals, like what it is based on, what's your end purpose. You want to like help the customers in the long run, you want to make more profit, or you wanna, yeah, I see a question, how and where to actually start Flutter. So I'm gonna provide you with Codelab links to install, like get started with basic apps for Flutter. Eventually for the next session, I'm gonna try to like give you all a demonstration of how to actually first install the SDK for Flutter so that you can like start coding in your own desktop or laptop. So wait for the next session. Till then, I'm going to provide you with this presentation slide so you can go through, and there are multiple links for it to come. And so see, when it comes about Flutter, how long will it take me to learn Flutter? Depends. I'm seeing like most of you guys on LinkedIn that you are really doing well with your programming fundamentals and you're coming up with projects. So I'm assuming a month or like a month will be more than enough that you can learn a lot about Flutter, so that you can create your good intermediate project. I can say a month, that's, or like a month or two for max, that would be more than enough. So let me just go. So what Flutter is meant, Flutter apps are meant to be fast. That's what Flutter is always promising. It's productive. So why it's productive? Just imagine like you decided to make an app. Now you wanted to like the same app on Android and iOS. What you're gonna do? You're gonna let an Android team build the same app, and you're gonna let the iOS team build the same app. Now you're gonna come up again in the between a center, like decide about how the design should be similar to another design, kind of like that. So it's a bit time consuming for people to actually do those things. So Flutter cuts that gap. So if you just write code once, you have the same app for like exactly the same app for like both the platforms, and it saves you time. So that's why it is productive. About beautiful. So you're gonna see, if you might have used Google Pay, you're gonna see they have nice, really nice, smooth animations, and eventually you love the experience of this. So Flutter apps are meant to be beautiful out of the box. They look pleasing, to be honest. Eventually, the main reason I started learning Flutter myself was this: the apps look spectacularly beautiful. The fourth term is open. So yeah, like I'll pick that question in a moment. Open. So it's open here means basically open source. So if you guys are on GitHub, you might be know when you work on a project, you just let your code rest there on public, so that if someone like needs a bit of code help from, they can see in your project. So Flutter's all the code, the Flutter SDKs and everything, that's totally open source. You can see on the internet how it is written and like which languages they have used. Each and single line of code base there you can see. And the best part, actually, you don't have to pay for any of these things. Okay, so when you start learning Flutter, for every tool that you use, they're gonna be pretty much free. So unlike like when you learn Adobe Premiere Pro, you have to pay for the subscription price, and then you start doing video editing and those things. But that's not the case for Flutter. So every code base is on public domain on GitHub, and everything is free. So that's it. Portable. So portable basically means you don't have to like have a huge file structure and everything. You don't have to like set up a lot of things to start with Flutter. It's really easy. It's really easy to get started on any other desktop. So if you're using Docker, that's things are even more simpler for that. But let's not get started on Docker now. It's gonna get a long way then. So Flutter is really fast. Okay, and see these animations and this app. If you like feel it a little bit in about the performance, you can see it's like nearly at 60 FPS. So that's the beauty about Flutter. All the apps that you develop, they are really great. They look spectacular. And some might think that, okay, when you are developing for Android with Kotlin or Java, they're gonna be better. Yeah. Is any tech giants really hire a Flutter developer? I just gave you an example. Google Pay is totally on Flutter. Don't you think that they actually need Flutter? Yeah, even Dream 11 had hiring these years, and I had heard like they offered CTC of 45 or 50 lakhs. I think that was the like they really had Dream 11, and you know all about Google. So there is scope, and if you're thinking in India it is not that popular, start going for the startups, or like you wanna do remote work. There are a hell lot of possibilities. Just start an Upwork or Fiverr account with like your expertise on Flutter. You will just be bombarded with a lot of like offers. Obviously, you need to optimize your IC or like presentations. Yes, for it. This is like an example app that you can see. This is really smooth and working. Productive, and this is one more aspect of like being productive here. So usually you might have seen like people they post like when you you write code, when you want to test it, you compile it first, then you the compilation takes a minute or two, and then you run it, and then you see, oh, there is a compilation error. Oh, then you see, no, this color isn't looking good. Then you change the code, then you compile again, then you run again. That's time consuming. With Flutter, Like when you are developing the app, you can just edit it and this thing's gonna be rendered in the real time. So if you can see this is written here, Flutter demo homepage. So if you just edit the code here, that's gonna change in real time. So it's basically emulator, like an Android phone running. And this is really fascinating and easy to design. So you don't have to like rerun your app again and again when you like change the code. So once you start the project, you just change code in the real time, it's being reflected. So it's easier for you to like go with the flow. Just I'm not gonna say anything, just look at this UI, okay? Just look at the animations. Doesn't it look really cool how they developed it? And they did with when some people say that okay, Flutter is not good for animations and all, like there is a performance bottleneck. So this is like an example to show them. This whole app is built with Flutter. This is an example app, not an actual app. So you can just see even in the, if you could see in the right corner of the mobile phone that's here, it's a debug version. So it's not even production ready yet. If even after that, like pre-builds are usually tend to be slower, still is looking so smooth, and I'm just mesmerized with this example, really. And there are tons of more people actually on CodePen. They post about their creations that they do. They do a lot of crazy stuff. Open source, that's it. Like see here, if you go onto Google and search Flutter GitHub, you can see all the code base there, everything about Flutter. Not a single file is hidden from there. Might be the credentials might be hidden, but like most of the tools that you use, that's here. There are some certain like quick labs, or like some of you might have like gone through the Google Cloud challenges. So as in Google Cloud challenges, you used to like create or go to a code lab and then access the lab from there and learn. So here we have like some code labs too, okay? You don't need to like pause the screen to see these things. We're gonna provide you with all the links in a certain file after the meeting is over, like after half an hour or some, but you will receive it by today and you can start working on it. There had been a little bit of problem, not a problem actually. We had to like the Flutter festival started from February 14 and it had to end on March 30. As you can see here, the dates are here kind of wrong. So let me tell you, like we are halfway past it, so we have more 15 days. So like I'm gonna be present even after like the Flutter festival is over. So if you guys really need to deep dive into it and like make some projects for our college community or something like that, we can always continue that. But for the Flutter festival, it's obviously going to end on 30th of March. Still we have a month, that's more than enough, I guess. And you guys don't have any examinations like most of you, and some of you even have, so you're gonna have to manage. That's the thing. Eventually you will be doing internship in your next year and you're gonna have to manage the same with the college. So the workshop are like, as you can see, there are 4 workshops under one quest. These are the things. I'm gonna provide you with the same links. These are the basic essential stuffs like you need to learn about Flutter. And this is the Flutter development. If you get a bit better, you can just start like implementing more features to it. If you can go ahead with like your own speed and complete these code labs while learning, that's really awesome. And eventually, as our team said, like I have like we came up with a plan for 2 or 3 apps that we are thinking to make in the session. So eventually I'll be expecting you to learn a bit in advance about Flutter. So we'll be teaching, and every day when you learn, you just try to implement it with yourself. And then at the end, we're gonna like try to develop an app that's gonna be actually helpful for us, and you're gonna be really proud of it. Still, like we don't have much thing. Okay, now for the questions part. Learning Flutter is tough or easy? See, I never had learned about any programming or coding languages except for HTML back in my standard. I started my coding in my second year of college, and I'm really pretty much got confident with Flutter like in 2 or 3 months. So Yeah, 2 months was more than that's it. I was like procrastinating a lot of times. I was just trying not to do, like, it happens. Things were not that much easier that time. I like the will to do. I didn't like we didn't have the community in the college to see. I was like, I'm alone doing these things. So where are my friends? What are they doing? So that's not. But great for you. Like you have friends, you can always discuss along with them and learn. And you have us as well. So you can always ping us, and like if you have any doubt, we'll try to just solve it. And I guess yeah, a month is easy for at least for the basic apps. For the basics app, you're gonna like learn in 10 days would be more than enough, I'm telling you. So even if you don't like know everything about it, just remember this: no one knows anything completely. You just have to use like Stack Overflow answers and these things. So that's gonna be better. A week is enough. You're gonna see it itself. Uh, See, the Flutter festival is running, but your willpower isn't. You can always continue. So eventually, you're gonna be participating in like upcoming any hackathons that you wish for. So you eventually might be working with web technologies and mobile applications, and it kind of gives a good impact when people use apps instead of like websites in their hackathon projects. And let me tell you a story. When you like get a bit familiar with Flutter, so even before you draw or make a prototype, you can make an app with Flutter. So that's how much easy it is. And since in hackathons you have to be under a certain time limit, like 48 hours or 3 days max, 72 hours, and between those things, Flutter gonna be really easy and helpful for you to like create your own app, like ideas into like real working app within that time frame. It's going to be really easy and helpful. And I'm wishing that more of you guys going to be participating in upcoming hackathons, like if we organize or somewhere from MLH or any sites you wish for. Yeah, I've been a bit lazy, like we all had been in the second year, I guess. Does Flutter need any prerequisite or any beginner can learn? Yeah, it requires your willpower. That's it. You just need to be like, yeah, I want to learn this. That's your attitude gonna be. That's it. Nothing more required. Okay, these are like for the peoples who like take more interest in Flutter. Why I should really learn Flutter? What's its people's opinion about it? If I say that industry is adopting it, is really industry adopting it? What are the different aspects for these things? Yeah, I'll try my best to like provide you guys with a roadmap. Actually, we're gonna get along in the festival, like for the upcoming more sessions. I'll try to go along with the more of the things. Yeah, see, Figma is used in UI now. So if you are like, for me, I'm not that good much with Figma, but eventually I can say while you gonna brainstorm your ideas into Figma and then code, you will find it's much easier to actually code than like design in Figma. So that's like beauty and power of Flutter. It's kind of easy. You will get when you get used to it. When you give someone a task to like design the thing. It dart as same as JS. Uh, Kind of, not exactly. No, not exactly, but it's similar. So let me tell you, if you know a bit of any languages, okay, only assembly language gonna be a bit difficult for you, assembly and bash. Apart from that, like most of the languages, it being it JavaScript, C++, Java, Python is kind of different. That's really easy. See, these things, if you learn any of them, then it's really easy to adapt. That Flutter choose Dart, why not easy language like Python? So, uh, if you're gonna move into the slide in the first page, okay, let me move you. As you can know already, like Python is kind of interpreted. So Python isn't really fast language at all, to be honest. If you like guys use Python, so Python is built on top of C++ and C. So Python was mainly earlier used to like for representation of data, like for the big data and like to represent it was actually meant for mathematicians, not for programmers. But eventually things became pretty like U-turned and people are using more for it for like doing more of the stuff for even for web or something like that. But eventually it was just made for mathematicians since Flutter needs more of like garbage collection features and some toolkits that are easier to explain with Dart, I guess. That's why it adopted. And since, if you're making a car, it would be better if you make your own engine and then use your own door handles and everything so that they come in sync and work perfectly. I guess that's what Google thought. Eventually, Dart was developed by them. They knew Dart much better than anyone of us could know, and they knew what exactly they wanted. And I thought, I guess, I'm not pretty much sure, they knew that Flutter would require something like Dart to work on, so they could eventually, for the upcoming features of Dart, they can improve the language so it would suit more Flutter. So that's it. I guess that's why they did with Dart, not Python. And don't stick with Python all the times. I also had learned Python, then I learned Dart. It doesn't matter. Even when you go into industry, so there are times when you say that in your resume that I know just C++ and they're going to give you a C# project or a Ruby project and you have to come up with a solution within a week. So it's better if you get adapted to it from now. Just the logic matters, not your syntax. If you're just confused how a for loop is written, you can always Google. There's no save in it. I'm telling you. So a little bit about Firebase. So Firebase is like a supplement of Google Cloud. You can say Google Cloud, but easier to integrate in your project. So you can integrate Firebase with your web projects, Android projects, iOS projects, and the Flutter too. So Flutter gives you really easy tools out of the box to incorporate Firebase into your app. What you can do with Firebase. So eventually you can create a database, manage users, you can provide your own app with login features, authentications, in case, and if you wanna need a server in general, so you can even do that. Google Cloud, these are the things. If you're not sure about Google Cloud, we're gonna provide you the little bit of link where you can learn a bit about Google Cloud. You don't know, don't need to go through Google Cloud all the time. But a bit of familiarity is always a good idea. So that's what it's all about. So that's it. Now I'm going to let me take a few more questions I see. Python. Yeah. I guess this answer was given by Robert. I'm pretty much sure he knew about Python. Does Flutter has any limitations? Yeah. I'm going to be honest here. Eventually there are limitations. So if you start with Flutter, that's good. You're gonna, for the 80% of the time, you don't need to know much about it. But when you deep dive into core functionalities of Android, some features that you want to incorporate, that's not really common. Sometimes you want to change the EMI number of your phone, something like that. So Flutter can't easily let you do that. So eventually you have to rely on some other packages by the Flutter community if it's there, and if it's not there, so you have to write a bit of Java code for yourself. So though Flutter comes handy in the 80% of the cases, 90% I can say, even but for a little bit of time, you're gonna need a bit of Java to actually activate those things. So but you can always learn that on the stuff, and I already told you, community is big, Flutter's community is big. So if you find that problem, 99% chances someone else on the internet had the same issue. So you can always search on the Stack Overflow and they can provide you the solution. Another bottleneck that people argue about is performance. Okay, so people say that Flutter apps are a bit slower than native Android apps that are built with Java and Kotlin, Java or Kotlin, not Kotlin. And when it comes about iOS, thus they use Swift. So they can say and argue about that. But just think, if you are really consistent, if you run an app made with Flutter and a native Android app, you're gonna hardly see even a second of difference. Those are in milliseconds. You just really question yourself: do you need that much precision of time? You'd really need if you got 10 milliseconds late, your app is really bad. Do you consider that? Depends. If you're into gaming, then you might say 10 seconds is a lot of lag time. But for normal users and these things are really slow. See, when you are having some benefits, you can have a bottleneck. So the bottleneck is less here. So it has a bit of performance concern issues. And upon that cost, a little bit of less performance, you get a huge tons of like benefits, like faster code execution, like multiple platform support, a great community support, and stuff like that. So that's the beauty about it. And eventually, if you need to like do about that much performance issue and you wanna make games, eventually you are not gonna use Android, native Android or Flutter. Obviously, you should learn Unreal or like Unity for game developments. I guess that's better for those things. So then, if you love it, then just do it. Don't think about if it's slow or something. It's really fast. You never gonna notice any differences about it. Okay. That's it, I guess. That's the question. So you might be having how I'm gonna register for the event, where are the Codelab links and everything. So at the end of the session, after half an hour, like or an hour, by today, end of the day, you're gonna mail you everything you need to learn. And like in the next session, I'm planning to like for all of you to install how to like install Flutter on your PC so that you can code along with me in the next session. So like learn a bit about yourself. So just go to flutter.dev, okay, or like search Flutter on Google and see their documentation. Let me actually go to Flutter, see if you can see. If I go to this site flutter.dev, okay, there is like this whole thing. So these apps are like made with Flutter. They have already their thing. So if you want to download Flutter on your development, so see, they're gonna be get started, okay, and you can download Flutter for your ecosystem. Like if you use Windows here, if I use Linux, then go just like it is available on Stack. That's better. You don't need to change your path systems and all. So if you like go over to Windows, like if you're using Windows, and see there's the whole steps, and if you can figure it out by yourself, that's totally fine and totally awesome. Because at end of the day in your future, you will be eventually reading these documentations a lot, I'm telling you. So that's better. So just search flutter.dev and get started. And if you can install Flutter with yourself and see the examples they have given, that's better for you. That's totally fine. Apart from these things, I guess this is the end of what I had to say in the informations. About the links and the registration, you're gonna receive a mail by the end of the day today. Apart from that, you have any questions? Can it be done on mobile phones? Okay, that's a really tricky question. So yeah, see, on a phone, it's really hard to like compile the code for the same platform that you're using. You can always like go to Codelabs and all, but still I'd prefer to say you to use a phone. You can't develop, actually you can learn a bit about it, but that's of no use, I guess. You need to like install it in the PC. 4 GB RAM is like good enough to get started. If you even have a 4 GB of RAM in your laptop, that's more than enough. Just make sure it's either of the these platforms here. Either you have an Windows, or like if you have an Mac OS, Linux or Chrome OS. Apart from that, just see, you don't see any Android here. Okay, so you can't just basically develop on Android. These things are more than enough they have provided with. Okay, that's it. Like any other questions you guys have? Just Termux or PyDroid is legal. Just think about how many things you're gonna do with Termux. Can you just install a full blown Linux OS on that thing? And with a desktop environment, actually, you can always like do with PyDroid or something to run simple apps or small apps. But when you come about compiling bigger code, is it really that easy? Yeah, that's it. Any more questions? I guess if you have just if anyone else have any questions, just let me know in the comments. I guess that's the end of the session for today. I don't have possibly more to say. So I'm stopping my screen, and just let me know in the chat if you guys have any more problems or like any queries. I'm not seeing any chat coming, so I'm assuming that you guys are okay with whatever it's going on. For the next session, we can like get started with installing it. If you can install it, that's totally fine. I'm gonna be really proud that you guys figured it out by yourself. If not, like we can wait for the next session. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, do we have any questions? Like anything, any issue, any kind of query? This is the last announcement. Nothing?
Yeah, and if you might be thinking, just let me add one or two more points. If you might be thinking, okay, is it exactly good to like learn Flutter? So we are from Tier 3 college, as you know. So I have like, even I know Ravisa, she did a lot in her career and she started the Flutter too. I did the same thing, and I'm pretty much sure if it was not about Flutter, I wouldn't have got the recognition that I got a bit in the community for now. So get started with it. And when you like feel bored of it, just learn another stuff. That's easy when you're well acquainted with one.
So what is the limitation of Flutter? Can I answer this?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
The stuff is almost all the apps in your mobile phone, except the video games you're having, can be developed in Flutter. That's your answer.
Perfect answer.
Except just remove video games from your mobile phone. All the apps you have, that is under the domain of Flutter, without any difference in loading time.
Any more questions?
Still, you can make some basic video games. High-end video games can't be made.
See, there are pretty lot of libraries in Flutter that can let you make games. But eventually, if you want to dive into gaming industry, it makes no sense for you to not learn Unity or Unreal, or just learn some SFML. I guess that's a C++ language for entering.
Yeah. Even if you want to use, even if you are using C++ or C#, C# is popularly used, or Java is popularly used for creating games. Even then you go for Unreal, Unity, these engines, because it makes more sense. Okay, learning and practicing with lack of faculties really enhance our productivity. Writing HTML in Notepad. Obviously, I started writing HTML in Notepad, and I was saving it in .NET.
You think that writing in Notepad is actually a bottleneck? Try Vim sometime. Then you're gonna feel. You're gonna eventually be using Vim. So you see, you hate it or like it, but you will be using it. I'm pretty much sure about that.
Try Vim and please post.
Nano is easy.
Nano is easier than Vim. So if you are able to save your code on Vim, you can post that on LinkedIn as an achievement. Okay. So
yep, I'm gonna endorse that for sure. That's it, I guess.
It means Flutter improve our UI and has better, better than you need actually most of the time. Any further questions?
I'm assuming Sandesh is going to be the most indigenous student that's gonna do a lot of work.
Flutter is better than React Native.
Yeah, that's the question I was expecting for a long time.
He was waiting for someone to ask this question.
Yeah, simple as that. If you can use CSS, you can learn. Like if you love to use CSS, React Native would be good for you. But if you like feel like you don't hate CSS or you're that not good enough, you should do Flutter. And eventually they both are same. And I'm not promoting Flutter as I'm a Flutter advocate or like Flutter facilitator. But Flutter has like a lot of performance betterment than React Native, and since Android was developed by whom? Who is maintaining Android? Obviously Google. And who is maintaining Flutter? That's Google. Just you can imagine who can have better support for that. And React is developed by Facebook, so they don't actually have much. I'm just resuming and saying, and it has been in the studies too. Just Google it. There's gonna be a lot of debatable post on these things, which is better, Flutter or React Native.
Himanshu, let me answer you in a small excerpt.
Yeah, sure.
Flutter is made by someone who made Android, okay, and React Native is made by someone who just made a website. So now you know better. Now you know better who has the larger code base and larger support system.
And eventually it's up to you. You wanna learn, both is fine. I'm just gonna say that
it works.
Yeah.
You just want to know if it's Like faster, yes. Flutter versus Kotlin. Kotlin is faster because it's more like it's closer to native part, obviously. But the difference is less than you can think of. Like microseconds. The difference is in microseconds. So I don't hope that you expect that. And with Kotlin, you will just be able to make an app for the Android platform. Then you will have to write that again in JavaScript. And you will also have to write it again in Swift. And again
In Swift, then again in, like with Electron.js, you're gonna write for desktop and like a lot of stuff. Just
so
one
good
thing
luck
about
writing it
it.
6 times.
That was a good answer. Yeah, indeed it was. Okay, I guess that's it. That's the question. If any, can you use Flutter in web development? As I told you already, okay? If you want to learn game, then game development, you should learn Unity. If you want to learn web development, just web development, you should better like focus on Next.js or like React, that kind of stuff. That would be good.
Flutter is
Flutter.
for you when you have an idea and you want to make it available to the public as soon as possible without writing so much of code base so that you need minimal amount of maintenance. You just want to produce the idea as soon as possible.
Flutter with SQL. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Do you really just need to SQL like local SQL or something like that? So there are packages, SQF-Lite, something like this, that can help you like write or run SQL queries on your like local database or local file storage. And apart from that, if you really want to use databases, eventually you're gonna be needing a backend, and the backend can be in any language. You're just gonna be communicating with APIs to your app. So you will just use the APIs to like communicate, and that has no like problem with SQL. And you can use backend with Django or like Node.js or anything. And they support SQL, JavaScript, or Flutter. These are some not so questions of comparison. JavaScript is
Comparing
also
JavaScript
good.
with Flutter is just like comparing burger with
Door
spinach.
with doormat. I guess that's the answer. Just leave it. If you have like more queries, like most of the people you have, I guess questions are really over. If you have more questions, we had the mail. Can you, Robert, like paste the same mail in the comment section so they can reach out
Okay, yes,
if they have further doubts? Or like some of your queries, like go have a like notebook, write down all your queries, whatever you can find, and in the next session, just bombard with me, bombard me with all the questions you have. I'll try to answer. That's it for the session today. I hope to see you in the next session for the installation. That's it. Over by my side.
So that was Aman Raj with us, our facilitator, our Flutter facilitators, and he will be with us for a month and more. Like he'll be with us with the Flutter Festival for almost a month until 30th of March, and then later he'll also be aiding all of us in developing further apps in our campus. Okay, so if you have any queries, the mail is in the chat box. You can refer to that. You can send our queries, and the presentation you just saw, it will be available to you in a PDF form within few hours. So just keep checking your mails. Okay, start checking your mails after now. Don't start checking it right now. Okay, you won't find anything. So we're gonna close. This is the last count. If anybody wants to ask anything. Okay, sure. That's it. Okay, what is Flutter framework?
So okay, for most of the you who don't want to like be further in the chat or like the meeting, you can leave. It's not that much necessary for you to be present. If you have more work to do, you can always leave. So what you can define a framework as? So framework, you can say a set of tools that you can use to make your development experience a bit better. So imagine if you wrote a code in Flutter, like in Dart, and how Dart gonna convert it into Android. It needs something, okay, so that it can like take your Dart code and convert into a like native Kotlin code so that it can run on your Android devices, or on with Swift so that it could run on your iOS devices. So that's what a framework does. So the framework that does is named as Flutter, and that's it. That's the Flutter framework. Just don't confuse Flutter framework, these things. are generally the same. Okay, Sandesh, I'm expecting a lot from you. I'm gonna remember your name. Like, I'm expecting that you're gonna be developing a lot of apps in the upcoming future. Okay, so I guess that's it for now, like for today. So hope to see you in the next session. All the best and goodbye.
So everyone present here, meet. We are going to end this. Thanks a lot for being present here.